Good morning, everybody. Can somebody confirm if you can see and hear me, please? We're going to start with a pick a pile. Good morning. Good morning. Awesome. Thank you. All right, let's start with a pick a pile. So I'm going to use this deck. Yeah, okay. Pick a number 1, 2, or 3. We're going to start with a quote. If you pick number 1, we often carry mountains we were meant only to climb. So learning to put down a burden when it's given you the lesson or it's an expired burden that we need to put down. Number 2, if you truly want to grow, heal, and evolve, you have to let go of wanting to be liked. So you are leaving the cocoon and you need to do so unapologetically, showing up unapologetically as yourself. And 3, people will criticize your message, then repackage and sell it. Keep an active ear and be mindful of snakes in the grass. So if you're working on something right now, keeping it a little bit more close to the chest. Good morning, everyone. Oh, hey, Sarah. All right, let's get started. I'm going to scroll back to the top and try and kind of go quickly so I can get to as many people as possible. Okay. My step-grandfather was overly friendly when I was a small child, that he used to do this to others. Something about like innocence, reading inappropriately, and nobody really mentioning anything. I would say a behavior trait that he had. I would say, yeah, kind of stuck. I'm stuck. I can't get past it. I would say yes. Does my aunt have a brain tumor? And if so, how long does she have? I'm going to answer for the tumor. Is it something but not a tumor? It is a tumor. It is a tumor. I'm not confident about that. I feel like there's something going on, but I'm not all the way confident it's a tumor, or what I'm seeing is the healing of it. Because it feels like something, well, I guess that would be a tumor, something breaking up. I feel like there's something going on, but I feel like it's not the worst case scenario. There's something still to be revealed about it, though. Like, I don't know if it's like a second opinion or finding out something that is like in combination with an issue. Like there's something that's going to be revealed about it. Will my life purpose be renewed? There's a need for patience, but with this 5 of Swords, it's like maybe a form of self-sabotage or kind of standing in your own way of creating changes that would allow you to feel like you're taking the reins here. The Empress in reverse. I would put this as the ball is in your court. There's a need to be patient with yourself to nurture yourself back into habits or mindset shifts that would allow you to start to feel like yourself again. When you start to feel like yourself again, your purpose will feel like it's coming back to you because you're drawing that into you as you're showing up as yourself. So I would say focusing on what's keeping you from feeling at ease being yourself and creating changes to alleviate any blockages there will help bring your purpose back to you. My son has started learning to drive. Will he pass his test? Will he pass his test? The opposite of a victory. I feel like maybe the first time there may be some kind of issue. The victory is there. It's just in reverse at first. So I don't know if the first time is going to be a pass. The Chariot. Two forces working together. So I feel like it's either going to be a close call the first time or it's going to fail the first time and pass the second time. There's something like that. Of course, in between now and then, he can work on whatever it is that he may struggle with a little bit. I feel like it's parking. I feel like parking is going to be a challenge. It's going to be a hit or miss on the parking part. But if he can perfect that, there's a potential to pass. If not, he'll pass the second time. Should my sister leave her husband to protect her and her children, or will there be a better resolution to the issues in their home? Should she leave? This is Two of Cups. So a connection between another person, giving it a rest to avoid a tower moment. I feel as though it's better for her to leave. Knight of Cups in reverse, retracting a love offer. I feel like it's better for her to leave. The Star in reverse. Leaving as, I don't want to say secretively, because this is all about something that's kept in private. So like maybe not letting the other person know she's leaving until she's ready to walk out the door type of thing. It feels like there may be, this tower makes me nervous because you said protect her and her children. There's a need to avoid a tower moment. So creating space between the two, but doing it in a way that's not going to cause the tower by letting the other person know, hey, I'm leaving. So I feel like it's better safety-wise to leave, but being very careful about how that happens. Does my friend E's estranged husband have a child with another woman? What's he been spending large sums of money on? Does he have a child with another woman? King of Pentacles upright, Queen of Pentacles reversed. And that has a white rabbit, like go down the rabbit hole. Oh. Knight of Pentacles reversed. Was interesting. So that's the couple, that's the child. They're in reverse. I don't think it's a child, but it's something, because Pentacles, he's spending money on someone, but it's not about a child that they have together. Truth. So he's spending money on another woman, but it's not because of a child between the two of them. What is it because of? There's money again. 10 of Pentacles. 5 of Pentacles in reverse. This could be a property. This could be rent. This could be 5 of Pentacles in reverse. You can't afford this without me, so I have to help you out or you won't be okay. I don't think it's because of another child, but I do think that the money's going to another woman. Grandson getting married today. Would love a message from my parents to share with him. Parents to share with your son. Each moment is a brick on which he's building the foundation of the rest of his life. So allow himself to enjoy each brick that's getting laid down and not be too worried about if he's doing this right or if he's appearing right. Allow himself to be as present in the moment as possible. Allow himself to express or cry. It's like they're focusing on telling him to be as present in the moment as possible and not allowing himself to shift out of that present moment, because he's going to look back and realize how each of these moments were bricks on which he's going to build the rest of his life here. Knight of Cups in reverse. Why? Emperor in reverse. Don't hold back emotionally is the message. Like if you want to cry, cry. If you want to get super excited, like let yourself feel let himself feel all the feelings that come up with this and enjoy it. Let me see what song. Biblical by Callum Scott is the song. C-A-L-U-M, Scott. Messages from spirit guides. Okay. 1 second. There's a 4 of Pentacles. King of Swords reverse, 4 of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles reverse. It feels like there's a conversation that you're being guided to have very carefully with another party. Something that you may have been holding back to protect yourself, but it's like, if you're questioning if someone is trustworthy or not, they're not. And there's a feeling of like fire breathing. What's this 4 of Pentacles? It feels like there's a conversation you're considering having with another person. It's better to not have that conversation right now, or it's better to hold something in, which isn't typically advice that I would give, but express it to yourself, write it down or something. It's like you're going back and forth about something and it's about to pass. Like the issue is about to pass as long as you don't renew the issue, if that makes sense. Is that what it is? Yeah, healing. I guess I'd word that as, if it's not necessary to restart a past issue right now, allow yourself to just keep moving forward because you're detaching from that energy. Any message for me? This is giving me the image of like, you know how they say like a glacier is above ground, but then there's actually a huge part of it below ground that we don't even look at. There's something coming to the surface here when it comes to restoring the balance where you were previously stuck. But there's a need to dive deeper into these bottom emotions so that they can come to the surface. I guess I'd word this as a shadow work right now is going to kind of set you free energetically to move forward where you're currently stuck. Karmic blockages and perfectionism. As you do the shadow work, you're going to see where you may be viewing yourself from the perspective of someone from the past, and doing the shadow work helps to reframe that. I smelled strong aftershave when I was sleeping. Was it my dad? Healing, avoiding something drastic, communication. It feels like it was a familiar smell sent to you as a confirmation that you made a choice correctly, or maybe you're like, oh, I should do this instead of that today. It was like a familiar confirmation that you did the right thing earlier in the day. This would be communication. How am I self-sabotaging myself as a result of my mother wound? How do I word this? Feeling like you need to prove who you are instead of just showing up that way and having people believe you. It's like internally I'm grounded. Externally, I don't know how to project that because of that desire to earn love from the mother. Like, how do I word this? For your mother, you felt like if you were not perfect, or if you were not earning her love, or if you were not proving to her that you are who you are, it's like you would be questioned if you were not being authentic or not being honest or something to that effect. It's like the self-sabotage is coming from feeling like you can't just be you. You have to prove who you are to get other people to believe you. And a lot of thought is going into that. So it's exhausting your energy that could be used elsewhere. So knowing that you're worthy just because you exist, and you don't have to prove your worth in order to allow yourself to feel worthy and allow yourself to show up as yourself, and know that people will either align with that and believe you, or they'll fall away, but neither of that is your responsibility to worry about. So just, I guess the self-sabotage comes from overthinking how you're showing up. Queen of Wands in reverse, the opposite of a social queen. So especially when it comes to socialization, feeling like you have to prove who you are to get people to believe you. And not that you're trying to be anything you're not, just simply being yourself. You feel like you have to prove. Am I ever going to be able to get away from the situation I am in? I'm trying to stay positive, but the name calling and constant put downs make me not want to even be on Earth. Ever going to get away from the situation I am in? Not quickly. It feels like there's somebody very, and I know you said like name calling and stuff. It feels like that person is even more untrustworthy. Like they have a worse ulterior motive. See how she's like holding out the cup, like I need what I'm giving out in return. Lack of commitment to forward progress here. It feels like there's something drastic that needs to happen in like your planning. Like I guess I'd word this as putting your foot down, or not taking no for an answer in some effect, but like carefully. It's like a need to change something in order to defend yourself here, because right now there's a lack of a victory. Are you going to get away from the situation? I feel like it's going to take longer than you need it to take. So there's a need to try and find a way to kind of put your foot on the gas and make it happen sooner rather than later. Any messages from my son's dad? Son's dad. I feel like this is for your son. It feels like he's struggling with something, but not letting himself feel it. And there's a need for patience with himself when it comes to vulnerability. I feel like he kind of needs someone to like unload emotions on or talk to or something, but he's like preventing himself from doing that. So the message is, yeah, the Tower in reverse, trying to avoid being seen. The message is that the only way out is through. And when you're feeling those feelings and emotions are energy in motion. So the only way to alleviate the pressure you're feeling from that is to create movement or motion in the emotions. So I'd say there's a need for patience and allowing for vulnerable support. I am so happy here, carefree with no earthly worries, and I'm very proud of you. Keep pushing through. In the last 2 months, in the night and mornings, I've heard voices whispering my name. What is happening? Stuck, not family, independence. A wounded angel. It feels like a familiar spirit. Not like familiar to you, but like, maybe that's not the right word. How do I say this without it sounding bad? You know those videos where it's like, don't answer the voices because they're like mocking type spirits? It feels like it's that. Not something that you need to be afraid of, but it also, I don't want to tell you it's like a family member when it's not. It feels like something that'll pass. I don't know if it's like energy that you picked up from another person or a location. I would say set the intention to cut cords with any energies that are embedded in your energy field that are not yours. Set that intention and kind of let it go. It doesn't feel like somebody you know. It feels like a location connection or an environment, another person, something like that. Nothing that you need to be worried about, though. Just something that's not yours to deal with, I guess. Why am I having shortness of breath when I'm doing strenuous work? So coming in out of the cold would be overheating or over processing. Two of Wands in reverse, two things not working together. The World in reverse. I can't get this to go all the way. Give me the energy of like, or the image of like a lawnmower that won't start. Almost like the expansion of something isn't going to the fullest. Two things not working together. Unable to complete the entire process, which could be lungs. Coming in out of the cold, so overheating or too much. It feels like something with the lungs, because that would be two, not expanding all the way, overheating or over processing. Maybe like needing to do some kind of detox or clearing or get that checked into. It feels like it's coming from the lungs, because being overworked, like something triggering the lungs to not expand all the way is kind of what I'm getting there. But maybe not both of them, maybe one of them. But it also feels like it's a quick fix. Like it doesn't feel like something that's prolonged going to be an issue. Five of Swords, the Wheel of Fortune. Right now there's a battle, but there's able to make forward progress. If I would say, looking into like different lung treatments, it feels like there's like a inflation or a lack of full expansion with that. It is 7 years since I had a partner. Is love coming soon into your life? I don't think soon in terms of what you would like it to be soon. It looks like there's still a need for some kind of healing when it comes to vulnerability. Almost like avoiding being vulnerable with certain parts of yourself and feeling like once you find the right person, you'll be able to be vulnerable with them. But there's a need to allow for that vulnerability with yourself, so that your self-expression and the way that you're communicating can be healthy and effective. I don't feel soon. I feel like there's a need to really pour into yourself right now, and that will allow you to manifest a connection with someone who isn't just a mirrored version of certain parts of yourself that are being avoided right now. Unintentionally, I want to say. Will my husband's work pick back up soon? Not soon. The King of Cups is like a very flowy. I feel like it's gradually going to pick back up. not as soon as you would like and not as quick as you would like, but it's going in that direction. But it almost feels with the Six of Pentacles, Lovers in reverse, I'm putting out more effort before I get more work. How does that make sense? It's almost like either he impresses someone and gets more work, or there's like this is independence, and then this would be community. So it's like he's on the outside, so there's something different happening for him than there is for the rest of the group. It feels like it starts to pick up, not quickly, but it's heading in that direction. But then it feels like he's ahead of the pack. So I don't know if that's a promotion or like increased responsibility or something. It's going to take longer than expected, but it feels like it's going to pay off when it happens. Any messages from my mom? It's like you feel like you're in the calm before this storm that you're waiting for, but there's no storm coming. It's like there's some worries that may be a little unfounded that are keeping you from being present in the moment to overcome some kind of emotional battle that you've been dealing with. There's like a processing of emotions that needs to happen so that you're not avoidant of being present in the moment. And the storm that you're waiting for, it's like she's saying you already went through the storm. You already went through the part that was going to be the difficult part, and you overcame whatever that battle was. The bond we share is unbreakable and unforgettable, and I've gone through my life review, and there are still so many lessons to be learned. I feel like maybe she worried a lot about future things, and she's guiding you to not allow yourself to fall into that same habit. Who was I in my last lifetime? Last lifetime. It's giving me the energy of like hidden royalty or hidden, what is this? The world in reverse. I took a different path. I hid from the world. Had to stay in the dark, away from my passion. It's giving me the energy of like wealthy parents or something like that, but then you having to be hidden. I can't tell if you're hiding from parents or your parents are hiding you. Queen of Cups, the Hierophant reverse. I almost feel like this like nomadic energy, like I'm here, then I'm there, and I'm running from something, or I'm being chased by something, or I'm avoiding something, is what I'm getting from that. That may show up in this lifetime as like mental escapism, or feeling like a longing to travel or go somewhere else, not stay in one place, something like that. Got very ill during eclipse, had to lie down, indigestion, burping, fell asleep through eclipse, directly related and meaning. Connected to the symptoms that you were feeling. I almost want to say it's like the release of emotions that your body was trying to process physically instead of energetically. I don't know how else to word that. Is it connected? Yes, because these two would be connected to the symptoms that you were experiencing. It's like calling the storm. I would say it was the physical processing of energy. But it feels like while it's connected to the eclipse, it's more of like the beliefs that you had about what the eclipse was bringing that was allowing the emotions to come to the surface, if that makes sense. My friend's cat, Vivian, is missing. Where is she? So this, I said it looks like somewhere outside, and then I got Ace of Swords with truth. It doesn't feel like she's in someone's house or someone has her. It feels like she's wandering outside. Because to this, I said, is this more independence? Like I'm happy where, not, maybe not happy where I'm at, but like I'm somewhere that I go back to like time and time again. And then this is independence. Feels like somewhere outside as opposed to someone having her. Will Greg ever love me again? Out of Pentacles. There's like some hesitancy to try again here. I don't know if it's so much of the question being, will he ever love you again? Because I feel like in some regards, you're still a wish fulfillment. He still sees your value, but feels like he doesn't have access to you. And it feels like his ego is making it so that he's not sure if he should come forward with said offer because he's not sure if you'll lock him out away from your value. I'm not seeing him coming forward with an offer or anything like that. It's something he considers, but he holds himself back, even though you're a wish fulfillment. It feels like his ego is winning. Where did I go? Any direction specific to my love life and health? Last few days, I've purged emotions into love life and health. Feels like there's an unfounded worry that you don't bring enough to the table. So there's a need to kind of work on self-concept and knowing that you are attracting the partners that align with your current energy. So if you are doing that from a place of feeling unworthy, you're going to attract someone who also is in that energy. I do feel feels like this is stemming from some kind of long-standing or inner child wound that almost like it's showing up in your relationships in ways that you're not attributing to that wound, but healing the wound will help you show up differently in your relationships and help and make them last longer or be healthier. It feels like there's something specific that you're trying to call in, but that wound is preventing it, whether that's like an increase in a connection with someone or a new connection. Focusing on the projections coming from an inner child wound will help to make progress in that way. the moon in reverse. So this can be repressed memories or things from the past that are affecting you now more deeper than you realize. How can I help my son with his career? He's a bit frustrated right now. It feels like guiding him to kind of slow down and start to, I don't want to say like back to the drawing board, but needing to like get everything laid out so it can be seen. There's a lack of patience with himself, but then there's also progress being made. So there's a need to help him come up with the tools. Star, the Lovers, and Queen of Swords in reverse. Lack of expression, needing to make a choice, but not doing it. Private. And the Hermit also would be private. It feels like he's busybodying himself away from coming up with a strategic plan to shift things. So there's a need to get him to realize that it's okay to kind of slow down, go back to the drawing board. It doesn't mean that you failed. It just means that there needs to be a shift in strategy. So helping him with that, or the realization of that in some way. I'm seeing like a list being, excuse me, like lists being created, or like a redoing of blueprints or something to that effect. Like needing to remotivate by seeing how solutions could come from problems that seem to be persisting. Have I already fulfilled this life's mission? No, not yet. You're in the chapter where, how do I word this? In previous chapters, you might not have had the full amount of the right energy to fulfill the mission because you were still working on certain lessons that allowed you to be in that energy. And then this is the chapter where you're choosing to stay in that energy so that you can then complete the mission. So you're heading in the right direction, but no, you're not there yet. Yeah, Knight of Wands here as well. You have the foundation for your passion. Now it's to share that passion. Are my children happy? Is there anything I need to focus on for either of them? Younger child, older child, younger child. It feels like younger child. This is younger child, right? Yeah, younger child. It feels like younger child is working on building something, or the focus should be on building some kind of foundation. I would say with that younger child, anything surrounding the throat chakra or healthy communication and expression, because that's an important part of the foundation that they're building or will be building. And with the older child, I almost want to say something that hurt that one publicly, they're healing from privately. And anything you can do, you need to focus on for either of them. It feels like with the older child, tools to help emotional processing when triggered. But it feels like in an indirect way, like leading by example, or like showing what you do in certain situations, but in an indirect way. Expression for the younger, emotional processing for the older. Do I go back to work in the beauty industry, which I'm already familiar with, or do I pursue other career opportunities that would require further education? Beauty industry. Other options. Beauty industry. job security and it's something that you're passionate about. Other options, I almost feel as though with the star in reverse, you're going to feel like, man, I could have been at a 10 doing that, where I'm maxing out at like an 8 here because the passion lies in something within that beauty industry. Knight of Pentacles in reverse, it makes me feel like in some way, whatever the other thing is you're considering, there's more room to be either taken advantage of or your skill set used to build someone else's business as opposed to your own. So I would say beauty industry. Any message from my friend, Micheline? I feel her around me often. She always comes through in my readings. There's something intellectually that's going to help you with grounding. So something you can learn about or read about or invest your time in that's going to help you then feel more present in the moment, like a long-standing answer. Unfinished business that would make sense from reinvesting your energy in some kind of, I almost want to say this is I don't know where this is coming from, but I almost want to say this is like the study of human behavior. Like you'll be able to forgive the lack of closure that you got from certain situations if you can understand why the brain makes people make the choices that they make, if that makes sense. Like, for example, that's not the right card. Career transition, reinvesting of energy. For example, like reading something about narcissism and you're like, something clicks and you're like, oh, okay, they really didn't treat me that way because of me. It was because of this. It's like the call for that. Do not be afraid and do the things you love. Never regret doing what makes you feel happy. Feels like getting that information will help you to start to forgive people for the apology that you'll never receive so that you can release that burden from yourself. Should I move out and attempt to salvage my relationship, move on, direction of my love life? Should I move out and attempt to salvage my relationship? It feels like that's not going to do what you think it's going to do. Move out and continue and attempt to salvage my relationship. Almost like the other person's going to think that they then can get you to do whatever, or they've won. This is like a false start or a lack of passion. This is things being left unsaid, but then the other person feels fine. Lack of a victory. I don't think it's going to work the way you intend it to work. So what should you do? Should you move on? Completion of a cycle. Knight of Cups in reverse, retracting a love offer. I feel like it's better to move on. Because if not, you're not going to see clearly that there's something better for you out there. I think moving on is the best option. Somewhere along the way, I lost my ability to feel the actual happiness from the depths of my soul. How can I find it again? Do I need to cut cords? Yeah, whoever this King of Cups is. This would be the cutting of the cord. Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Hierophant in reverse. Lost my ability to feel actual happiness. That's not your energy. That's someone else's that's shielding themselves in your energy. And what I mean by that is you subconsciously viewing your potential options from the perspective of someone who didn't want you to feel like you had options. So I would say setting the intention to disconnect from whoever energy this King of Cups is, which feels like someone who already lost access to you. I also feel like there's something else though. It's not just that. That is a factor, but it's not the only factor. Chronic guilt and shame and spiritual disconnect. So you feel disconnected from your higher self because you're trying to figure out how to place the blame on yourself for something that was not your fault. So it may not be necessarily a cord so much as needing to reprogram how you're viewing your role in something that you didn't cause. It's like because the other person never gave you closure, your psyche wants to place the blame somewhere. So it's trying to place it on yourself, and that's not where it needs to go. Gavin had school, so I did not get to watch the eclipse with him. It got dark for a little bit, but we didn't really watch it. Message from past life self to help let go of past life traumas brought into this life. It feels like the specific need to look into a money wound, and that can be feelings of unworthiness, feelings of incompetence, feelings of perfectionism. It's like something like that that makes you feel continuously like one step forward, two steps back, and it's like triggering a wound that is hard to identify. Repetitive pattern syndrome and root chakra blockage. So root chakra would go hand in hand with a money wound. Repetitive pattern, needing to break the pattern of internal self-sabotage dialogue that when you're not present in the moment, you're not catching that it's happening, but it presents on the surface as a money wound. But if you unpack it and dig deeper, it's this feeling of like something not being a victory or a celebration in a previous lifetime. So like maybe a business failure or maybe a relationship partnership that fell apart. But it's like learning to regain those feelings of knowing that you're able to overcome challenges that don't already have solutions is how I want to word that. Like you're able to come up with the solutions because you are capable and worthy. And it feels like in a past life, there's certain things that karmically spilled over into this lifetime so that you would be able to address that deeply buried wound of unworthiness or perfectionism and not letting that hold you back from trying. What's that quote? It's like, doesn't matter how many times you strike out or something like that. That's the energy that I'm getting. Like continue to dig deeper to get to the root of how the money wound shows up for you in this lifetime, because it's not necessarily a money wound. It's what is the root cause of that unworthiness or insecurity or something like that. I'm concerned about my stepfather's health. Are my concerns valid? There's some truth to them, but I feel like it's not what you think it is. I would say it's not as progressed along or as far along or as bad as you think it is, but you are picking up on the energy of something being amiss. But it also feels like there's a need for him to do some either preventative care or a first or second opinion about something. Like there's some action needed to be taken on his part so that whatever it is manageable as it unfolds. So you're right. Not as bad as you think, but you're right. But he doesn't, feels like, recognize that. Will my boyfriend find a new job before being potentially let go from his current one? I'm not feeling before, no. I'm feeling the potential for him to find something kind of quickly after. I almost want to word this as not looking in the right places or not talking to the right people. There's something he can do so that he would have, but it's like on the other side of some kind of barrier. I feel like it's more likely that he finds one quickly after the ending of that job. There is potential for him to find it before, but I also feel like if he does find it before, he's going to have to end up leaving. Maybe that's what it is. If he does find it before, he'll have to end up leaving the other one sooner as opposed to waiting for them to let him go. But it feels like there's somebody else he needs to be talking to or changing strategies about how he's applying, or like the field in which something needs to be changed strategy wise. Getting certain vibes from my coworkers, Mike and Michael. What are their thoughts about me? Mike and Michael. Mike and Michael. I almost want to word this as they feel like you think that you're better than them. That's what I got with that. And then I got temperance, which shows an angel. So like above. Something in the way that you speak confidently makes them feel like you're putting yourself above them. But it also feels like they know that that's a projection because they feel inferior in some sense. I don't know if that's because you're good at your job or because of how other people view you. It's like, I want to prevent you from getting ahead of me by making you feel like there's no space for you to talk. Having troubling symptoms. Is my cancer returning? Any messages from my mom? Is cancer returning? Do you have an answer for a cancer? Patient source in reverse. I don't know how to even ask this. Is the cancer returning? Has the cancer returned? Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's like something's. It almost feels like there's the beginning stages of something, but I don't know what it's going to necessarily turn into. It feels like there is. Rewards for past effort and hard work. It feels like what you had previously is not what's happening. It feels like there's something, but it also feels like it's something that's more manageable than what you experienced in the past. So I don't know if that would be cancer. I don't know if that would be like maybe a side effect from previous treatment that just needs to be dealt with, and is showing up as those symptoms. I would say to look into it, but it doesn't feel like worst case scenario, and it doesn't feel like a repeat of what you already experienced. I love you with all of my soul's being, and we are always connected. From your mom. It almost feels like something that has been slow to catch up as a symptom, but something that was caused from previous treatments, but just needs to be like processed out. I don't know how that translates. Processed out. I would say get it looked into, but don't expect worst case scenario. It feels like there's a solution. Has my special needs son been the victim of abuse at school by staff? Oh boy. What I'm getting is it feels like there was a line that was crossed, but it's not as bad as the worst case scenario that you have in your mind, but there definitely was a line that was crossed. It feels like the line that was crossed is something with like, it could have been like aggressiveness in moving him. Like if they had to physically take him from one place to another, there could have been some like unnecessary aggression or forcefulness, or like, I know at my son's school, they have this like calm down room. Maybe it was something along the lines of leaving him in there a little bit longer than what they said. Like there's something like that, like a line was crossed, but it didn't cross the ultimate line, but it crossed a line that is there before the line. So but it also feels like it's going to be very difficult to prove, because it feels like it was something in passing or quick, or like covered already. I don't know how to word this properly. It feels like little digs, like if I can pull him a little bit more aggressively and get away with it, or if I can lock him in this room a little bit longer, something like that. It feels like. Is that death in reverse? I would say you're on to something, but I don't know how it's going to be able to be proven, because it feels like something that is done because they know they can get away with it, if that makes sense. Message for the week. Don't look back. You're not going that way. The action that you took is the right action, even if you can't see how the flower is blooming yet. The mindset shifts that you made are opening more doors than you can currently see. What are the steps this week? Oh. Law of attraction, authenticity and self-expression, soul purpose chakra. So you unpeeled a layer that's now allowing certain things to come into you for your next step. You don't need to do anything other than continue to stay in the energy of whatever positive change you made. So even if you can't see yet how it's benefiting you, even if it maybe even feels like it's not benefiting you, continue with whatever change you already made, because you're going to open a door where there currently is not one. Guidance from my guides for a way forward. Giving a rest to the worry, focusing on solutions instead of what's not going right. There's a need to slow down and pour into yourself. It almost feels like you're trying to busybody or distract yourself away from something that either focusing on other people or distracting yourself with other people. It's like taking that energy and pouring it into yourself, shifting, like instead of holding the mirror out for others, needing to draw it into yourself at this time. It feels like there's a specific shadow wound that's coming to the surface that you're distracting yourself from, but that's actually the key to your next step forward, because it gives you some kind of tool that you can then use. It feels like a career shift. Staying committed to ending the battle. Shadow work hands you a key that allows you to unlock a different layer of your passion. And as you step into that different layer of your passion, you find a way forward with that. That is the next step. Does my mother approve of me replacing her home loan? Replacing her home loan. I feel like the message is you got to do what you got to do. Like almost like, what can I say? It's not going to be something that affects me. It's something that's going to affect you. So it's better for you to not have to battle against something that brings you backwards instead of forward, so that you can continue moving forward. It feels like the message is you did what you had to do. It was the wise, smart, intelligent decision to do. Told me that I'll be collaborating with someone. Is this someone that I know or someone I have yet to meet? What genre will the collaboration be? Someone you have yet to meet. And it feels like there's a need for, feels like it's a little bit away. There's a need for patience, but it's someone, how do I word this? It's someone that you may meet them and it may not be obvious that this is the person I'm going to collaborate with, but as time unfolds, it's going to go towards that direction. What genre will the collaboration be in? Collaboration, Knight of Wands in reverse. Using the passion that you have now in a different way. Something that you're already interested in, but almost like taking what the other person has and bringing it in combination with what you have, even though what they do or have is slightly different. So it would be like, trying to think of an example. Let's say you do music and you link up with someone who makes merchandise. So it would be like something like that. It's like bridging your passions in together where you can both help one another in some way to expand. Been dreaming of P. Any messages or past lives? Trying to get clarity on unfinished business so that you can overcome something that was not said, or you wish was said, or you wish wasn't said. Trying to get clarity on some kind of communication that there was no closure or clarity on. So you're dreaming of P. I almost want to say it's your subconscious projecting into that screen of your dreams different ways to look at a past situation so that you can get the closure that you feel like you didn't have. Any messages from my guides for financial growth? Taking some kind of chance on yourself to be seen, even though it's outside of your comfort zone and it's not typically thinking outside of the box here. It's like there's an opportunity to put yourself in a position to use a skill or talent that you already have, but like you being the face of it instead of being maybe working for somebody else or something. Like, I don't know if this is social media or creating some kind of class or something. It's like there's something you're good at, but you're not used to being seen as being good at it, or being seen as the forefront or the face of it. So stepping outside of your comfort zone in that way feels like a side gig, that could turn into something else the more you invest in it. Any insight into the manner in which my daughter's boyfriend Daniel died and the circumstances surrounding his death? The detective feels it could be an unaliving instead of suicide. Daniel's death. Whatever is initially on the paperwork, which I feel as though is unaliving, or feels like it could be an unaliving instead of suicide. I feel like what is on the paperwork is suicide, and I don't feel like that is correct. It feels like somewhere along the looking into this, there was a mischaracterization of a certain piece of evidence that made it look a way that it's not. I have a confirmation of that. Caregiver on its side. Confession. School learning confession. Surveillance. No, I don't think it's as clear cut as suicide. High vibes in reverse, so low vibes. I can't tell exactly what it is. I would need to like look into this more, but it feels like either a situation where someone saw something about to unfold, or someone could have prevented something, or it feels like there's some piece of evidence that if re-looked at in a different light would tell a different story, but it was already being judged as a suicide, so the evidence was looked at from that perspective. I would say it's not as clear cut as either of them. It feels almost like a situation that was avoidable that became not avoidable because of someone else's choices. That's how I would word that. Oh, I had talked to the same school 1 year. Oh, 1 second. I lost my place. Am I jinxed, or is there just never an easy path? Are you jinxed? Are you jinxed? I wouldn't word it as jinxed. I would word it as like a family line. I want to say curse. Family line karmic patterning that needs to be broken, that's very ingrained in you, so you don't recognize that it's a pattern that's not yours that needs to be broken. Taking action towards fulfilling your financial goals. It feels like a money wound that presents as lack of self-motivation, or almost like projecting certain obstacles because they're expected. Not that you're causing them, but it feels like needing to break karmic patterning of, let's see. But it's not yours though. It's like passed down through your lineage. Past life wounds, see, and neglect wounds. Neglect wounds that have come from the outside in, but that reciprocate that energy by neglecting yourself, or not showing up for yourself, or not knowing how to show up for yourself. I would say the solution here is to find a purpose outside of yourself that you can attach yourself to, and use that as fuel to push through the obstacles of potential self-sabotage, especially when it comes to internal dialogue. Your internal dialogue struggles are not because of yourself. They're because of the karmic patterning of your family line. So not blaming yourself for them, but knowing it's just something to overcome so you can get the benefit of overcoming will help you find solutions. Is Brian suffering from depression, and how can I help? I mean, I don't know if I'd call it depression. It feels more like an existential despair or lack of purpose. Of course, that can present as depression or those type of feelings, but it feels like the solution is to find something that Brian can devote himself to that is bigger than him, a purpose to pull him forward. Kind of like what I just said in the other one, but like, I know this is kind of the same. I think I'd word this as a feeling of hopelessness, a feeling of what is to come, what is the point. Of course, that can be depression as well, but it feels like the solution is to find what it is that he's working towards and allow himself to attach himself to that. It's like there's not enough potential for him. He doesn't feel as though there's a situation where he's going to be able to be happy to show up as himself. It's making him feel disconnected from himself. So in order to reconnect to himself, he needs to find a purpose that allows him to feel like he can be himself in the context of that purpose. What do my spirit guides have to say today? whatever you just did that is out of the normal of what you typically do when you're handling certain emotions is allowing you to see how previously you may have been standing in your own way of certain opportunities for happiness. So it's like you had to see in the moment how you making this decision instead of that decision opens up a different doorway that allows you to not cycle back to stress. Ancestral wounds and inner critic. So this is also similar to the one that I just said. There's this lineage wound of self-deprecating thoughts, and you have broken away from whatever was keeping you attached to them. So you made really big progress in that. Should I move? Love life messiness, feeling overwhelmed with direction. Should you move? I don't know if the timing is all the way right, but I feel like you should start planning to do that. I almost want to word this as needing to get your ducks in a row and not make any quick decisions. Although I feel like you've been considering this for a while, but like the actioning of it, I feel like you need a little bit more time or a little bit more planning, or making sure that where you're moving to isn't like okay, this is super temporary because I don't really want this, but I got to do something. I feel like that's not the right scenario. The right scenario is to think it through and plan it out and get what you want instead of having to like jump from here to there. I do feel like that should be the goal though. I'm going to do about 5 more. What is today? Then I'm going to hop back on, I think, Thursday. Will I live in Westchester City? If so, when? Will you live in Westchester City? Yeah, I think that's highly likely. Do we have an answer for Westchester? Oh, I almost broke my glass cup. Oh, water would have went everywhere. We have 6, 5. Do we have a time frame? In the next 2 years? Next 3 years? Do we have a time frame? I feel like something's still up in the air. Like there's a potential time frame of like 2-ish to 3-ish years, but I also feel like you asking that, you expected a sooner answer. So I feel like something's still up in the air, and I feel like what's up in the air is you choosing between that location and another location. So I do feel like that's a strong possibility if that's what you decide you want to happen, but I feel like you're going to also be considering going somewhere else. But with 6 of Wands, I feel like you end up there, but the timing is still up in the air, I feel. I wouldn't say longer than 3 years, though. When will justice prevail for Brenda? We have justice coming in for Brenda. There's some kind of delay here. I don't know if it's like an additional court date, or it could even be like a change of counsel that delays something. Yeah, you're not seeing yet how there's going to be a need for a break. You asked when. I do feel like there's going to be justice, but I feel like it's going to take a lot longer than you're anticipating. Judgment. So there will be a final decision that goes in her favor, like in terms of justice, but there's a delay. I want to say there's a significant delay. How does R feel about me? Message from my guides. How does R feel? They feel as though you're very honest and you are a safe place, I guess I'd say. Someone that they can learn from in terms of how to heal or how to emotionally process. It's like, I guess I'd say they see you as a bit of a positive mirror that gets them to see what still needs to be worked on within themselves. You help this person learn to be patient with themselves. Message from your guides. I feel like if you're waiting for some kind of love offer from P or R, sorry, I feel like there's either a need for patience or there's a need to look into the situation again. It feels like something's being read incorrectly about the situation. Wheel of Fortune, Eight of Swords in reverse. Needing to readdress something and see it from a different perspective so you're not feeling like you're held back by something. I almost feel like there's a little bit of someone saying to you what you wanted to hear, but you seeing through it, but being hopeful that it wasn't just what you wanted to hear, if that makes sense. My daughter has been with her boyfriend for 4 years. We don't care for him. He doesn't really try to get to know us or be a part of the family. Are we right in our feelings? It's like there's resentment. I don't know if it's because maybe he didn't have the type of family dynamic that he sees within your family and it's triggering, but he's acting from an immature place. I'd word it like this. It feels like he was initially triggered by something, but not something bad, like something like, I'm jealous of the way that this family functions because mine doesn't function like that, something to that effect. But then because he approached that from an immature mindset, it's almost like there's some villainizing of like, oh, I want to just avoid the family at all costs because they trigger me. When in reality, it's not you triggering him. It's unhealed wounds within himself that are being triggered that he needs to take responsibility for and heal. So a lot of avoidant energy, which could be a pattern of, if your daughter and him have problems, he's not going to address it directly. He's going to avoid because that's the pattern he's setting for himself. So are you correct in your feelings? Yes. If he was coming from a more mature perspective, I feel like it would be handled differently. And you may feel differently about him, but because he's coming from an immature perspective, he's not able to emotionally process what's being presented to him. What are my specific gifts? Effective communication with others that allows them to see how steps could come into place. So this can be, like, I guess I'd say pattern recognition and allowing other people to see how you came up with the pattern that you're recognizing and how that can play a role. So spiritual pattern recognition. This also makes me feel like clear feeling, like you get feelings about something and then can incorporate the patterns of what that may mean. Does my son have any mental behavioral issues that's causing him to seem like he has no self-control? That just jumped out. Knight of Wands in reverse. Nine of Swords in reverse. Mental behavioral issues that's causing him to seem like he has no self-control. This would be a lack of self-control. This would be not mental. Behavioral. I feel like it's something that's not necessarily a mental or behavioral. I mean, I guess behavioral, but it feels like it's something that's triggering this to happen. It could be like parasites, heavy metals. It could be diet. It could be environmental toxins. It's like not just innately who he is. It's something that who he is not mixing with well, if that makes sense. So I guess I'd say it doesn't feel like it's like depression or something like that that's causing this. And it doesn't feel like he's intentionally acting out. It feels like something that's causing him to have no other choice, which obviously goes with no self-control. But like, it's not him being like, I'm just going to have no self-control. It's something that's almost like an itch that can't be scratched. If that makes sense, an itch that can't be scratched. Help assistance, 3 years, 3 months, or 3 days. I would look into what changes have occurred in the last, depending on how long it's been happening, either 3 months or 3 years. Environment, diet, something like that. It's like something, practical development. Gardening is on this card, and this has a seed that's being planted in reverse. I would say look into heavy metals, parasites, some kind of cleanse. It's like something being irritated that's irritating, like an itch that can't be scratched internally, but it doesn't feel like it's mental health per se. Had an aura painting soul reading with M. Oh, awesome. Me and Emily are going to be doing another one of those remote view drawings soon. I have to text her back, actually. Our souls were together in a previous life. Aw. Was she a witch with me in Salem? She thinks so. I feel like there's, I don't necessarily know what the connection is, but it feels like both of you were trying to avoid a battle together, not knowing who to trust and trying to free yourself from something by aligning with spirituality or emotion. So that could very well be the case. I'm not getting a direct confirmation of that, but I'm getting confirmation of you both fighting the same, trying to avoid the same type of battle that could have likely put you in the same place at the same time. Queen of Cups and Page of Cups in reverse. It's like you were in this, you were playing the same role in the same scenario at the same time. And both trying to avoid falling into a similar trap as one another. What else can I do to help my son heal from his brain injury? Whatever the treatment plan is or whatever it is, helping him stay committed and you staying committed to just staying on top of that. It's like, as long as you stay committed to what's being recommended, you will go into smoother waters because you're the support system that he needs. There's also a need. I feel like he may be having some trouble emotionally processing certain elements of it that he's holding back because he doesn't know how to communicate or articulate what he's feeling. So I guess I'd say another thing that would be helpful would be to kind of, I don't know how to go about that. Trying to create space to allow him to express what he feels unable to express right now. Because it feels like there's almost as if he feels as though he's a burden by getting the emotional support that he needs, not because you're making him feel that way, just because that's, I guess, a feeling that comes with feeling you're like he's unable to do the same things on his own. So there's a need for emotional release as well. Oh, that's the same question. The man who exposed himself while talking to my wife-in-law at her yoga studio, is he a serial person? I've been in many fights. I felt terror when this man touched me and my ex, and I fought up to him. What can we know about him? He's imbalanced when it comes to emotions and women. I think I can get away with it. An offer of love and romance that's not connected to the other party. I'm committed to that. Is he a serial R person? I would word this as he's the kind of person that will do in the moment whatever it is that he feels like he can get away with. And there's a feeling of, I like to make other people feel inferior to me because that's the only way that I feel balanced. I'm trying to avoid the battle within by creating potential battles externally. I would say he's someone who will walk forward into any opportunity to make himself feel like he has the power over other people. So I feel like you're reading that energy correctly. Sorry, I lost my place big time. How did you explain to Gavin about what you do? My husband doesn't believe in this and where it would cause. So Gavin, I explained to him by saying, mommy knows things that she's not supposed to know. It's a little bit, he's autistic, so it's a little bit, he doesn't really fully understand, but essentially I just tell him that I use tools to help people figure out how to look at things differently within their own life. So I kind of take the psychological route of explaining it to him, like using tools to help people shift their perspective and knowing stuff that I'm not supposed to know, but but I'm able to know because of the tools. So, but that backfires because whenever he is doing something he's not supposed to be doing, he just kind of assumes that I'm going to know. So he's extra sneaky about it. So it kind of backfires in a way. Today is my son's 6th birthday. Can you do a general read on him? I read this as a growth spurt, like an internal growth spurt that's happening. an internal growth spurt that's happening that's going to allow for more freedom of expression in a way that he's not expressing right now. So I feel like the way in which he communicates is going to be changing. Almost like more effective communication, or being very mindful of him focusing right now on replicating other people's communication styles. It feels like that's something that's a main focus, is watching how other people communicate and trying to communicate in that way. How is my inner child feeling lately with some of the work that I've done? Very happy. The Lovers and 10 of Cups. King of Cups in reverse. Your inner child feels like she can trust you to call out or acknowledge or be aware of any emotional manipulation. So there's this feeling of trust coming from your inner child, because your inner child knows that if there is some manipulation, you're not just going to let it slide. You're not going to feel like you caused it. You're not going to blame yourself for other people's choices. There's this feeling of safety, I guess I'd say, where previously that safety may have been avoided because of potential like people pleasing, or feeling like questioning your worthiness to maintain boundaries. It's like your inner child sees that you've worked through that and can trust you to protect yourself emotionally, which then allows for emotional protection of that inner child. In order to live and experience the growth that you have been moving through, you must let go of the old. You deserve this. So yeah, you're out with the old, in with the new. Growth, inner child. Your inner child, it's like, you know, when you're little in school and like you get to see the older kids that come in, you're like, oh, they're so cool, I want to be just like that. That's the energy I'm getting from your inner child. You said 2 weeks ago my cat was grabbed. That's missing. Can I find her? An offer coming out of the clouds, giving and receiving. Release. See, I'm always weary to like mention spell work and stuff because I don't know how everyone will personally feel about it, but that's the energy I'm getting from this, is like trying something out of the box to kind of summon the cat to come back to you. This is like coming out of nowhere, giving and receiving. So I give an intention, I receive that request. A release from a mental prison. So this would be relief of your worry that you feel. Is it possible to find her? Yeah, but I feel like there's like an out of the box, like needing to spiritually call her back type energy, depending on like what you believe about that kind of stuff. Will I ever be truly happy? I feel like what will allow for that happiness to come is finding your place in a supportive community. It's almost like you're going to continue to feel like there's part of you missing until you're able to have yourself mirrored back to you in a community that you trust and value. So I feel like that happiness comes from, or is going to come from, finding a way to show up fully and authentically and unfiltered as yourself in the context of a community that supports you. I feel like that is almost like the telltale sign of happiness is right around the corner, or happiness is here, when you're able to find that. 1 second. Trying to see who I didn't get to yet. 1 second. Yeah, if you guys want to do a Facebook group, I'm okay with that. I feel like somebody asked me that, and I screenshotted it and couldn't find it to go back to. But yeah, that's fine with me. Let me know so I can join. 1 second. I'm trying to get to the questions. Does Tim have a message for Jan? Oh. Tim have a message for Jan. There's a need to release Jan. There's a need for Jan to release herself from some kind of feeling of shoulda, coulda, woulda. The right action was taken, even though it may be something that's questioned. Yeah, Queen of Wands and the Star. Social, Jan, the Star. You followed the North Star. There's a feeling of shoulda, coulda, woulda that he's asking her to release because everything happened the way that it needed to. I have always loved you and always will. My mind is free. That's what it is. The message is to align with the feeling of knowing that there's nothing to blame or shame or guilt or something, like freeing herself from a thought of questioning a decision or a moment or something like that. Sorry, guys, 1 second. I'm trying to see if there's anyone I haven't answered any questions for yet before I hop off. My face is probably all up in the camera, too. Can you please confirm either way that I recently made connection with my estranged mother? We had a conversation. She passed 2 years ago. Recently made a connection with my estranged mother. Communication. This card specifically is like the 3D, 5D, and the connection between the two, and a hand reaching over from one side to the other. And then we have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. You said estranged. So this is like the person who feels like they should have brought more value or support to you, connecting from the other side using some form of magical communication. So I would say yes. If I had only known then what I know now, I would have lived differently. I feel like that has to do with the estranged part. And when you see butterflies, that's me saying hello to you. Spirit communication, sending spiritual messages. So yes. How will my Italy vacation go next week? It's either that you're going to end up super exhausted, or that there's delays, or there's some kind of frustration. Something doesn't work out accordingly. But I don't feel like it's with the actual vacation. I feel like it's with the travel, or like the traveling to and from. But the actual vacation itself. I don't know. I guess I'd say it has, if there's any frustrations with the travel, not letting that carry over into the actual vacation, or there may be some, like, I don't know, like the time zone difference. There's like some kind of hurdle to overcome so that you can fully enjoy. And there's a challenge to allowing yourself to be in the moment. So the more you can allow yourself to be in the moment and not worry about other things, the better time you'll have. But I also would say maybe like pack some extra snacks or something, because there may be a little bit of like a delay, not caused by you, but that affects you. How does my mother-in-law feel about me? What does she think about me? She feels like there's a lot that you don't say because you don't want to cause issues. Almost like you're someone who's always thinking, or maybe always analyzing everything going on, but not really saying how you feel about it. Someone who finds it very important to keep the peace, even at your own expense, is what I'd get from that. Yeah, because you don't want to be locked out in the cold. Someone who keeps the peace even at your own expense. So maybe she even picks up on like other people frustrating you and you taking the high road or something like that. It almost feels though like a quality that she wishes she could embody and can't. Or maybe copies your ability to do that, something like that. Like a bit of admiration, but like frustrated admiration. Frustrated admiration. Okay, I'm gonna do like two more and then I have to hop off. People always ask me how I know stuff. Do I have a gift in reading? You're very observant of, see how like this person's up top but spitting the fire down to the ground because it's upside down. It's like you're able to understand the 5D meaning of the 3D patterns. So pattern recognition that allows you to read people's energy in the way of, this is like from your own experience. So I can do pattern recognition on what I'm seeing in the 3D of you, but then I can translate that to where you must be on a specific part of your journey in the 5D. So that it's like a intellectual pattern recognition channeling, like almost like you're able to be like, okay, your Akashic records must have you doing this or experiencing this because I can see this and how it connects. So yes, but specifically like a 5D pattern recognition, especially with things that you've experienced bits and pieces of. You know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to put a post on the community page so all of my mods can send your emails to Brooke, so I can start to, and then I'll match that up with like the box that tells me all the mods and make sure I got everybody. I'll post something about that later. All right, I'm going to do one more. Let me try and find someone that I didn't get. I saw one I was going to answer. I don't know where it went. It was the one about the life purpose. Where did it go? My soul purpose, a message from my son who passed 38 years ago, or my sister. Let's see. We know about soul purpose. Helping others to establish a foundation after overcoming some kind of emotional hurdle and learning how to re-represent yourself. So you're the one with the speech. So I guess I'd say specifically things that tested your foundation in life, leading others into the blueprint of how to rebuild from that. I guess I'd say problem solving for getting back in touch with emotions after there's no foundation on which to allow yourself to experience the emotions, the overcoming of that. But it feels like something that you could make a career out of too. So I don't know if that's like a counseling element or like a emotional support in some way, or like for some reason I'm feeling like crisis counseling or something like to that effect, or like in that general direction of topic. Your son who passed, I am not dead and we will be together again. Bridge Over Troubled Water by Simon and Garfunkel. And your sister. When a song we both love comes on, a song we both love comes on when you miss me and think about me, and when you speak to me out loud or in your thoughts, I hear you. She must be a big talker. She wants you to talk to her. Hey Jude is the song that came on by the Beatles. That's not the song. Hold on 1 second. I feel like that was the hey because she wants you to talk. Imagine by John Lennon. All right, everyone, I'm going to hop off. I will be back on, what did I say, Thursday. And look later, I'm going to make a community post for all of the mods to email well, I guess email or send your emails to Brooke, so I can send out then I'll send out a group mod email. Yeah, that's it. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you to my mods. I'm sorry to everyone I did not get to. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Deborah, where's your question? I see the one that says you didn't get answered. I don't see the question though. I don't see the question. Type it in a comment on a video and I'll try to get to it that way because I don't see it. And it's not over here. All right, everyone, I'm gonna hop off though. Deborah, type your question in, and because I have a bunch of people saying that I missed it, so I think there's more than one. So type it into a comment and I'll try to get to it. Or if not, next time put it all in caps and I'll make sure that I get to it. I'll make a note. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the mods, and I will see you soon.